Well, I didn't know if there was going to be any really cool stuff to report, but just now this news came in, so let's get right to it. According to Sawyer Merritt, Tesla scores a big win at NHTSA as they're going to adopt performance-based rules for autonomous vehicles. Now, this is not as big as if NHTSA had those performance-based rules in place, but they're at least acknowledging that they're not going to go, well, let's just finish the article, the story here. Regulators will focus on setting objective performance targets that a vehicle's autonomous system must meet, regardless of the hardware or the methods it uses to achieve them. The system will be judged based on what it can actually do, not what and how many sensors it has. So that, again, is very big news. This is what we were hoping for. Again, we're hoping for more than that. Teslarati has an article out that suggests this could take years for them to come up with the numbers. I don't think so. I think that this will not be as hard as many think. Now, I know in some of these systems, you have to have, public input and, you got to have 17 meetings. And I wouldn't be shocked to see some additional pressure put on to get this done more quickly. All right. This is also from Sawyer Merritt, story number 2 from him. Breaking: Tesla has officially received approval from the Arizona Department of Transportation to start testing autonomous vehicles on public roads. So this is following Nevada. So now we got Nevada and Arizona. He says, today I confirmed directly with the Arizona Department of Transportation that Tesla has met the requirements to begin testing its autonomous vehicles in Arizona with safety drivers. Tesla has submitted a self-certification stating its plans to test autonomous vehicles in Arizona using safety drivers. ADOT's Motor Vehicle Division has acknowledged receipt of this self-certification. To be clear, this is specifically for testing with the safety driver. A TNC, or ride-sharing service, will require a different permit. But this news today is nonetheless a big step forward. I've attached it. Okay, anyway. So one of my questions is why wouldn't Arizona, if Tesla passes all the stuff they have to pass in California, with many more miles probably required in California, why would Nevada require them to do X number of miles or whatever it is that they need them to do in Nevada, and then Arizona to do it? And I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. This is kind of one of the reasons why we're hoping that NHTSA would take this whole thing over and do it nationally. So once again, though, even if they don't take it over nationally, why wouldn't these other states accept the numbers that are coming from Texas, coming from California, etc.? All right, switching gears here, we got moonshots with Pete Diamandis today. That was actually yesterday. They reported a few things that I didn't see or know about Optimus 3. Maybe you already knew these things, but I kind of missed these maybe. So Elon recently reconfirmed Optimus 3 prototypes by the end of this year and production ramp in 2026. So we're not expecting to see very many Optimi this year, but the hand, apparently Elon has very high confidence that he can finish the hand and have a final prototype by the end of the year. Now, November 6th, when they have that big meeting of the stockholders, is pretty close to the end of the year. Do you think there's any chance we'll see this finished prototype on November 6th? My guess would be that they are doing everything they know how to do to have a very, very solid prototype ready by that date. Elon apparently also has said that the existing prototype is walking better with better balance and navigation and closer to human speed, and that the hand is very close to human. I think I did hear this, that the hand are very close to human dexterity. And then also it's the first ever OLED face displays. Now, I don't know whether these are these color OLED lights that we saw, which give various indications of whether the Optimus is thinking, whether it is, listening, whether it's responding. I mean, whether it's, I don't know. Anyway, I know there's a bunch of different colors. All right. This is from Brian Wong, who was unable to be on this weekend, and Phil Beisel. had plans, and so we're missing both of them this weekend, putting additional strain and pressure on me to produce. But Brian did send me this. He says, I think 80% likelihood, 80%, I mean, that's pretty specific from our futurist here, 80% likely that we can punch through 440 even before FSD 14 is released or before we get to the October 2nd numbers. Just some good China weekly, probably not enough. Would need to be 5,000 or more Model Y Ls for the week next Monday night or on the 29th, or one of the other big ones like removing safety monitor or a lot of Robotaxi deployed. The FSD deployment will happen over a month because of phasing. So as you know, we'll get so far we don't have any guarantee, there's no evidence right now that the FSD 14 has even been sent out to the employees yet. So you get the employees, then you get the early adopters, and then you get another group of better longer term folks, and then eventually it goes to everybody. So he thinks that'll happen over a month. And so, but I think once it's going out to those first adopters, we'll start seeing videos of that, and we'll get some idea of how good it really is. Anyway, the FSOC, so on October 2nd, that needs to really kick butt. He says, my expectation is Robotaxi Paranoia that happens in November. Robotaxi Paranoia happens in November. So it will be October 22nd that punches through all-time highs with the November 6th meeting. Okay, this is very much aligned with me, is that we will see the 440. We might punch through 440 on October 2nd, or even maybe before October 2nd. So that's where we're a little bit different. I think we could, and I'll be talking more about that later tonight at the 7 o'clock-ish video that I'm going to do. I'll talk to you about that more in a minute. All right, we had this reporting yesterday about sparsity. And I guess it's a new word we have to learn now, sparsity. My understanding of sparsity is that you can reduce the amount of necessary compute. In other words, when you're using a chip, okay, like the FSD chip, it takes a lot of chip in order to do the job, in order to make what's happening on Tesla. So the FSD chip is right now, number 3, can't do as much as they need it to make it the eventual, unsupervised. That's what they're saying, and they're hoping it might happen. But the larger, more modern chip, the AI4 chip, they're perfectly fine. That's going to do the job really, really well. Now, how do you get maybe the AI3 chip to work? Well, one of the ways to do that is with sparsity. All right, when you look out of your eyeballs, like I am right now, I'm looking at myself on the screen, and sometimes I'm looking over and reading my commentary over here, and that's what I'm looking at. But my eyes are actually seeing a tree over here and a house right there, and I'm seeing my back porch, and out of this eye, I'm seeing you get the point. There's a whole bunch of things in my view range that my eyeballs are, the pixels are coming in, okay? But my brain isn't registering any of them unless I look over there, and I look over there. Okay, well, that happens. We've talked about that years ago, at least a couple of years ago. We started talking about the same thing's true of FSD. All those pixels come in, but most of them are not relevant and they're not being used. Well, there's another level of this thing, which I guess is specifically called sparsity. And that would be like, for instance, you might be backing up. While you're backing up, you don't need what's happening out your front window as much. Maybe need a little bit, but that allows the chip to use less energy or use less of its capability because you're backing up and you don't need this stuff, okay? And there's other situations like that where it can make decisions. I don't really need that information, just like humans do, okay? So now it turns out that when you're using sparsity, let's say you're backing up and all of a sudden a bird lands on your, I don't know, let's say that a cat jumps on your hood because as you're backing up, and the car would take that into consideration, even though it's using sparsity, it would still it would still reignite its sensors and pay attention to something that happened that was important. All right, so that's called sparsity. So there's a word to put into your dictionary in your brain. Franz von Holzenhusen says that there are many innovations and fun things in the pipeline at Tesla. That was a great tease. I like that. Ben, he says that this was in a discussion on X, I think it was, where somebody said, he said that that there was whether there was going to be a smaller version of the Cybertruck or maybe a van version of the Cybertruck, and this is what Franz von Holzhausen responded. He says, "Look, we got a bunch of stuff. We got some cool stuff coming." Well, Ben Kahlo at Baird pointed out that 1 million bots on Elon's new comp package can include non-humanoids. I think I pointed that out as well when it first came out, that, it doesn't have to just be humanoids. So somebody else noted that the autonomous product list at Tesla might go well beyond Optimus, and I've been saying that for a long time. I've been saying it might be drones, it might be other kinds of warehouse products, it might be forklifts, it might be tractors. All kinds of things are possible. There are some other very big markets that Tesla might be looking to address. Now, it would seem to make sense that the most likely place for Tesla to make other autonomous products initially might be things that go in warehouses of manufacturing facilities, retail stores, et cetera, where there's already going to be a customer base. But we'll see. Those are just some of the things that are being tied around. Now, add to that, okay, that's one thing, was fun things in the pipeline on the car side. Then we got more things coming on the autonomy side. And then Elon says this, he says solar is going to be the power source for at least the main power source for at least his data centers. He said, Warren Redlich says, will you deploy solar and batteries at an absurdly massive scale? And Elon Musk answered Warren, he says, what gave that away? So again, what I've been saying for a long time now is, because I listen to Elon, what does Elon say? I pay attention. What does he say? He said, I might want to do a solar gigafactory. What did he say? He said, I got an answer. I've got a plan for that. When he was asked about how we're possibly going to get enough solar, enough power for all of these data centers and everything else that's happening on the electric grid. How are we going to get that done? I have a plan for that. I'm thinking, I really believe he's going to do solar panels in a major, major way. Bonds went up after the rate cuts. I know that's not what you expect. Well, that's what happened last fall when we had the big half-point rate cut. The bonds went up instead of going down, and then they slowly came down. And then as we got closer and closer to this rate cut, they came way down, and then they came all the way down to 3.95, 3.94, something like that on the day of the rate cut. And then they went back up to around 412, 413. So what's going on? Well, profit taking. And I think that what you're going to see now is a slow drift down as we get closer to what? Oh, September 29th. I'm sorry, October 29th, which I believe is the next time the Fed meets, where we're going to get another quarter-point cut. So I think we'll see this slow drift down as we get closer and closer. And again, I believe we'll be under 4 in the 3s, which will bring your mortgage rates down to under 6, which is going to be very, very exciting. All right, a little politics here at the end. AOC did it again today. The Dems have had this problem with the truth that is really, hopefully, destroying them. She says that Charlie Kirk was uneducated and ignorant. Now, that can be an opinion, and we're all entitled to our opinion. She can have that opinion. However, in this case, it's another one of those lies that is easily seen because we have eyeballs. We can look, we can check things out. So we've watched the videos. We've seen him in action. We've seen him build this amazing organization. He's credited along with Elon Musk with being responsible for helping Trump win the election. No, I'm afraid this one doesn't come close to passing the smell test and gets 27 Pinocchios, and actually suggests that it's AOC who is formally educated, but ignorant beyond help. And if you needed more help understanding that, she also said in the course of another statement she made from the Congress's floor, she goes that that Charlie Kirk was against the Civil Rights Act of 1994. He was against, I'm sorry, 1964, which gave the Black people their right to vote. Now think about that for a minute. did that act give the Black people the right to vote? Oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's what happened at all. And she says that he was against it. She doesn't bother to explain that the reason he was against it was because it's being used for things that it wasn't intended, like getting boys into girls' sports. He says he was 100% for it, in fact, with regard to its initial intent, which was to provide a better opportunity for Blacks to make sure they got to vote, not to get to vote, but rather to deal with some of the civil wrongs that were taking place at that time with regard to Blacks actually voting and other things as well, of course, as you're well aware. All right, we have this from Mentovia X. I've never quoted him before. He says Tesla's very likely to see its highest ever monthly close by the end of September. Okay, he's more bullish than Brian, but I'm not discounting what he's saying. He's thinking that it'll happen before the end of September. We'll get to our all-time high. And then he says, if that happens, we will see 522 and then 583 into the end of the year. So those are, I guess, some situations where he's looking at moving averages and all that. I didn't look into the details. All right. As I mentioned to you earlier, tonight I'm going to do a complete analysis of how I get to 1,000 by the end of the year, or to a lower number, and what that lower number will be if the Robotaxi rollout is slower than I'm expecting. So in other words, do I agree with this fella here, this Metrovia X? Do I think 583 is the number by the end of the year if we don't get the Robotaxi rollout that I'm hoping for? Well, and then in addition, because we're basically already to 2026, which is going to be epic. And as you know, I've been talking about 2026 now for over 2 years. 2026 is basically here. I will also start taking my prediction into the new year with 2000. I'm going to give you, I'm going to blow it right here. I think we're going to be at 2000 by the end of 2026, and I'll explain that. But I'll give you some other stops along the way of how I think things are going to go. These are not going to be exactly predictions. Now, the number for the end of the year, the number that I'm going to give you for the end of the year, the 1,000, and then some other number, those numbers are going to be predictions. Those are going to be, you can hold me to those. The things I'm going to talk about for 2026 are going to be more like estimates, like, yeah, this is the way I see it going as this happens and this happens and this happens, and I'll give you all the details. Now, I'm going to do also tonight and tomorrow morning and tomorrow night after my regular Monday morning show. I'm going to do 3 shows tomorrow. I found out the football thing, if the information is important enough, you guys are watching it during football. So I'm going to do 3 shows tomorrow. And so I'm going to do these, but there'll be more in each of these shows besides this, but I'm going to do, look, most people think that Elon Musk is Tesla and that Tesla is Elon Musk, right? I agree. I think that's largely correct. So if you want to have information arbitrage about Tesla stock, then you want to understand Tesla as a company. You want to understand where it's going, what it's building, how its numbers are working out and all that stuff. But you also want to understand Elon Musk. And that's the reason I've been studying Elon Musk now for, I think it's 7 years. The Elon Musk method, I think, was published about 6 years ago. Elon Musk's mission, believe it or not, is now almost 3 years ago that was published. So I've been studying Elon Musk for a very, very long time in great detail. And the study continues. Well, I'm going to have this 3-part series. It's going to be called Curiosity, Audacity, and Tenacity. It spells cat. It doesn't apply to anything. But anyway, it does spell cat. But I'll be doing Curiosity tonight, and then I'll do Audacity in the morning, and then I'll do Tenacity tomorrow night. And then that, you know, I'm hoping that this will help you to understand Elon even better than you already do. And, you know, and once again, when I'm doing this analysis, like everything else, it's going to be based on what Elon Musk says about himself, not what my thinking is about Elon. No, this is what Elon says about himself. Okay, so that's what's coming up tonight and tomorrow. And then this morning, it was Cern Basher on part 2 of Cern Basher. If you didn't already check that out, I'll put the card right here to remind you in case you've got another half an hour that you'd like to watch some of Cern Basher's cool charts. That's all I got for you right now. It's been great talking to you.